Johnny Talk Sports in with the Week 10 NFL predictions. Last week, I went 9-5, really solid record. Hopefully, I can do better this week. That is the goal. So, we are getting closer to the end of the regular season, and with the expanded playoffs this year, it is going to be a fight to the finish. So many teams are still in playoff contention, while others they may be looking towards next season already. So without further ado, let's get to the Week 10 NFL predictions. We got some good matchups this week, so let's get right to it. As always, we begin with the game that is being played on Thursday night, and this week, Thursday Night Football features the Colts and the Titans. Now, the Colts defense has been doing really well this season. In fact, they're one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best one statistically. While the Titans, Derrick Henry is second in the NFL in rushing yards, only behind Dalvin Cook, and that's mainly because Dalvin Cook has been dominating in the Vikings running game for the last couple of games now. And every time the Titans are in prime time, Derrick Henry seems to play very well. I mean, a lot of his really big moments so far in his career are in prime time. I mean, one time in Thursday Night Football, a 99-yard touchdown, including stiff-arming 4 Jaguars defenders. And the last time the Titans played in prime time, he stiff-armed Josh Norman into an oblivion. And I'm going to go with the Titans in this matchup. I know last week I said the Titans, they were a false undefeated team when they played the Steelers. But the Titans, they played really good last week against the Bears. Although the Bears defense, they did contain Derrick Henry really well in that matchup. So if the Colts want to win this matchup, you got to contain Derrick Henry the best you can. But you just got to get lucky and hope that you can contain Derrick Henry with him having a bad day. And I just can't see Derrick Henry having 2 bad games in a row. So I'm going to pick the Titans in this matchup. Next, we have the Texans and the Browns. The Browns are coming off of a bye week, while the Texans, they're coming off a win against the Jaguars with backup quarterback Jake Luton. And good news for the Browns is that Nick Chubb could be activated from the IR this week, so it is possible he could play this week, which would be huge for the Browns, considering that Odell Beckham is out for the season. So that would be huge to the Browns moving forward. While the Texans, could that victory against the Jaguars provide some confidence for this Texans team? The way I see it, I think the Browns will win this game. I think with Nick Chubb coming back into the lineup, I think that's going to help out very well, considering that the Texans' run defense isn't that good at all, despite having J.J. Watt. The defense in general for the Texans, really not so well, considering the Texans are 32nd in the league as far as total defense is concerned. So I will take the Browns, and the Browns continue their surprise season. It is 2020, so wouldn't be surprised if we saw the Browns in the playoffs. Next, we have the Washington football team and the Lions. For the Lions, Matthew Stafford, it was appearing that he was going to be on the IR list. While for the football team, man, once again, they compete hard against the Giants, but ultimately just can't get the job done. And the way I see this game, can Terry McLaurin take advantage of the lackluster Lions secondary? Can the football team get things going in the running game? You would think so, considering Dalvin Cook really dominated in that running game last week for the Vikings against that Lions defense. So I suspect that the football team, they just go with Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick. They get them at least probably about maybe 15 to 20 touches apiece, and just don't even throw the football that much, because Kyle Allen suffered injury last week, which then Alex Smith came out and he finished out the game. So it is expected that Alex Smith will be starting in this matchup. And I'm going to pick the Washington football team. think it's going to be a good game for the Washington football team. And I think it's going to be great to see Alex Smith get a win in the National Football League after suffering one of the most gruesome injuries that I have personally ever seen in football. So I'm going to go with the Washington football team in this one. Next, we have the Jaguars and the Packers. For the Jaguars, quarterback Jake Luton. Despite the loss, I will give him a lot of credit. His comeback fell just short, missed a 2-point conversion to tie the game, but still, all in all, he did pretty decent for a debut. Really not too bad at all. Really not bad of a debut compared to Johnny Manziel's debut, compared to even Andrew Luck's debut, John Elway's debut. I think he did really well. And it's uncertain if he's going to come back and start this week or if they're going to let Gardner Minshew start after missing last week. But I don't think it matters. I mean, despite the Jaguars having their offensive weapon in DJ Chark is what gets the Jaguars offense going. And I think if the Packers secondary, if they can bottle up DJ Chark and really minimize his ability in that Jaguars offense, they're going to contain him very well. I think it's going to be a long afternoon for the Jaguars. And when you look at the Packers with Aaron Rodgers, and when the calendar seems to turn November, December, the Packers play at a whole new level. So I'm going to pick the Packers to win this matchup. And Devontae Adams is hot. Ever since coming back, he has just completely dominated for not only NFL, but also fantasy football. So I'm going to go with Green Bay in this matchup. I just think that the Packers offense, I think, is just too good right now. And I think Aaron Rodgers dominates this one again. So I'm going to pick Green Bay. Next, we have the Eagles and the Giants. Now, we saw these two teams play each other earlier, a couple weeks ago, on Thursday Night Football. While the Eagles, they made a fourth quarter comeback that night. While for Daniel Jones, really interesting to see Daniel Jones be 4-0 against the Washington football team in his career, but he's 1-17 against the rest of the league. And the Eagles, they're cut off of a bye week. And before the bye week, they had a huge confidence win against the Cowboys. So I'm going to pick the Eagles in this one. I just think the Eagles, there was a point in this season where I said that the Eagles, they're going to get hot at the right time, because it seems as if the later in the season we get, the better the Eagles get as a football team. So I'm going to go with the Eagles in this matchup. I think they're putting out the bye week with possibly Alshon Jeffrey coming back and Jalen Reagor getting back into the lineup. And Travis Fulgham is doing well in this Eagles offense. Carson Wentz has more weapons to throw to now. And the Eagles defense has gotten a lot better in these last couple of weeks. So I'm going to go with Philadelphia in this matchup. Next, we have the Bucs and the Panthers. And for the Bucs, embarrassed on Sunday Night Football against the Saints 38-3. While the Panthers, they nearly beat the Chiefs last week. But Christian McCaffrey, he came back in the lineup last week. And it's expected that he could miss more time, this time with a shoulder injury, which is not good for the Panthers at all. Because that is, I think, the heart and soul of your offense right now. And I think he was even when he was injured. I mean, Mike Davis stepped up in his absence. And Mike Davis had to step up in his absence again. While for the Buccaneers, it was that first game with Antonio Brown in the lineup. And ultimately, what happened last time when the Buccaneers got embarrassed by the Saints, the Buccaneers got a winning streak going. And I think that can continue, because there's no way that Tom Brady plays bad 2 games in a row, right? So I'm going to pick the Buccaneers in this matchup. I just think with Christian McCaffrey having to miss more time and having Mike Davis step up again, I think the Buccaneers will win this game, because I just can't see Tom Brady playing bad in 2 consecutive games. Next, we have the Broncos and the Raiders. And I'm going to pick the Raiders in this one. I just feel like the Broncos, they've got too many injuries on their offense, and And now Alberto, the backup tight end for Noah Fant, is out for the season. And Cortland Sutton's already injured, out for the season. Drew Lock's been in and out of the lineup. And he missed time earlier in the season. So the injuries just keep piling up for the Broncos, and all started preseason with Von Miller missing the season with an injury. So it seemed to be a promising year for the Broncos, but injuries held the team back. So I'm going to pick the Raiders in this matchup because the Raiders are coming off of a big win against the Chargers in a game where they had to hold on for dear life, as it looked like the Chargers had a game-winning touchdown as time expired, but it was deemed that the ball hit the ground, so no catch, and the Raiders survived that one. I think the Raiders are going to go back-to-back. They're going to win again this week. Next, we have the Chargers and the Dolphins. As I just mentioned, the Chargers suffered another heartbreaking loss. Well, Justin Herbert, he still looks impressive, but the rest of his team just seems to let him down. Although this was one of the better performances that I've seen out of Justin Herbert. I mean, handling that 2-minute drill, I think he did really well. Unfortunately, it didn't work out this time because it was deemed that the ball had hit the ground on the game-winning touchdown pass as time expired. But for the Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa is 2-0 as an NFL quarterback. So this matchup is going to be exciting. We've got the 5th and 6th overall picks in the 2020 NFL Draft going at it. And I'm going to pick the Chargers in this game. I know the Dolphins, they've got a winning streak going, but I think the Chargers, they're very hungry for a win. And I think this game is going to really come down to the wire in this one. Well, the Dolphins' defense has really gotten better in these last couple of weeks. I just think there's too many weapons on this Chargers offense. Because you've got Justin Herbert, the quarterback, and Mike Williams is stepping up in the Chargers' passing game in these last couple of games. And you also have Hunter Henry. I think he's going to have a good game this week. And you also have Keenan Allen, one of the more underrated wide receivers in the National Football League. So I'm going to pick the Chargers in this matchup. Next, we have a matchup between the Bills and the Cardinals, and another good matchup with quarterbacks. We've got Josh Allen for the Bills and Kyler Murray for the Cardinals. Both of these quarterbacks, they've demonstrated that they can play at an MVP level. So this is a battle of two of the more up-and-coming stars in the National Football League. The Bills just completely dominated the Seahawks this past weekend, while the Cardinals, they suffered a heartbreaking loss against the Dolphins. The Cardinals' defense is very underrated. While the Bills, they dominated the Seahawks, Josh Allen had 415 passing yards against the worst pass defense in the league, and that is the Seahawks. So I am going to go with Buffalo in this matchup. I know that they looked good against the Seahawks defense, but I think a win like that, I think that's going to boost some confidence. Although I do think you can literally flip a coin with this matchup, I'm going to pick the Bills in this one. I think this game's going to be a shootout, but I'm going to pick the Bills to win this in the very end. Next, we have the Seahawks and the Rams. The Rams are coming off of a bye, while the Seahawks are coming off their second loss of the season. And this is going to be an interesting matchup. The Seahawks, they may have the better record at this point. They may have played better football at this point in the season. But the Rams have weapons on offense. You've got Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. And they're going to take advantage of that lackluster Seahawks secondary. And also, the Seahawks are playing a really good defense in the Rams, one of the better ones in the league. So I think the Rams are going to win this game. The Rams are my pick in this matchup, especially with Aaron Donald leading the league in sacks. And even if the Seahawks come up with a game plan to contain Aaron Donald, which includes maybe a double team, it's just going to really put more pressure on Russell Wilson, because it's going to leave a pass rusher uncovered if you're double teaming Aaron Donald or even triple teaming Aaron Donald, like what a lot of teams were doing last season. So I will pick the Rams to win this matchup. Next, we have the 49ers and the Saints. The 49ers, well, Richie James did really well for the 49ers last week. And Brandon Ayuk is expected back this week, as well as Deebo Samuel. So that's going to provide some help for Nick Mullins in this 49ers passing game. Well, the Saints coming off of a big win last week against the Buccaneers. I surprisingly think that this game is going to be close. I mean, I know that's kind of a stretch to say, considering that it's going to be Nick Mullins and not Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. But with George Kittle on IR, I still think the playbook is going to open up for Brandon Ayuk and his speed to take advantage of some of the more lackluster parts in that Saints defense. And with Deebo Samuel being back, I just think the 49ers, they keep this game close. But I think the Saints, at the very end, they win this matchup. The 49ers, I think they're going to give a valiant effort, but I've just got to pick the Saints. Next, we have the Bengals and the Steelers. The Steelers are coming off of a come-from-behind win against the Cowboys, which not really many people expected. Not many people expect the Cowboys to put up a fight against the Steelers. But the Cowboys put up a fight, but the Steelers, they won it in the very end with a game-winning touchdown pass to Eric Ebron, while the Bengals, they're coming off a bye week as well. So could the extra rest really play into the Bengals' favor? I ultimately think it could, because Joe Mixon is expected to come back this week. He's expected to play this week for the Steelers. There's a lot of weapons on offense, and with the Steelers having the best defense in the league, or at least one of the best defenses in the league, you could argue and say they're the best defense in the National Football League, as they are leading the league in sacks. And with the Bengals not having really that good of an offensive line, that's going to spell trouble for the Bengals. I think the Steelers, they win this game off of a big performance with their defense. So I'm going to take Pittsburgh to go to 9-0. Sunday night football now between the Ravens and the Patriots. The Patriots, they got a winning streak back, beating the Jets. Although it did take a come-from-behind win to beat the Jets on Monday Night Football, while the Ravens, they bounced back last week against the Colts. And the Colts really have a good defense, as mentioned earlier. And the way it's this matchup, I feel like if Cam Newton, if he plays a spectacular game, if we're talking like has a clean game, no turnovers, the Patriots got a strong chance to win. And can the Patriots defense, can they contain Lamar Jackson? Can the Patriots defense keep them in the game? I think they can, but I think this game is going to be a close one. I think the Ravens, they win this game, but I think the Patriots defense, they will keep they will keep the Patriots in the game from start to finish. So I will take the Ravens in this matchup. However, Jacoby Myers is starting to step up in that Patriots offense. Cam Newton seems to be going to him a lot. Seems to be his new go-to guy, especially with Julian Edelman being out of the lineup. So I will take Baltimore in this matchup. Although I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots pulled off this upset against Baltimore. But I'm going to pick the Ravens. And Week 10 of the NFL season concludes with Monday Night Football between the Vikings and the Bears. The Vikings are on a 2-game winning streak. Dalvin Cook is really cooking in that Vikings offense. He seems to be the main source for the Vikings offense in these past 2 weeks. While the Bears, they're coming off of a lackluster performance against the Titans. The Bears, just when we thought the Bears, when they could be a surprise team, not only in the NFC, but in the National Football League, they just seem to go on this losing streak. And the Bears right now are on a losing streak. And can the Bears get back on a winning streak? That's the big question. The main key for this match to me is, can this Bears defense, can they contain Dalvin Cook like they did to Derrick Henry last week? I think yes, they can. Do I think they will? That's kind of hard to say. Dalvin Cook has had the hot hand in this Vikings offense in these last couple of weeks. And if the Bears contain Dalvin Cook like they did Derrick Henry last week, the Bears should win this one handily, because it would force Kirk Cousins to have to throw the football against this really elite Bears secondary. And Adam Thielen, their best receiver, doesn't have a good history against the Bears secondary. Well, Justin Jefferson, this is his first time playing the Bears. Could Justin Jefferson have a breakout game if the Vikings are forced to throw the football a bunch in this game with Adam Thielen having a good history against the Bears? I think the Bears, they contain Dalvin Cook really well, but I still think Dalvin Cook could get over 100 yards in this. I know they contained Derrick Henry at only 68 yards last week, but I think Dalvin Cook is going to get more than that. I think the Bears win the game, but Dalvin Cook has a good one on the ground again this week, but the Bears ultimately win. And those are my Week 10 NFL picks for review. I like the Titans, Browns, football team, Packers, Eagles, Buccaneers, Raiders, Chargers, Bills, Rams, Saints, Steelers, Ravens, and Chicago this week. So, like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you next time.